My sister is infertile, and I'm glad. I, 26F, have an older sister, Andrea, 28F, whom I have never loved. She always had to compete with me, but not in a normal sibling rivalry way. All through our lives, she seemed angry and bitter about my existence because the spotlight couldn't perpetually shine on her. She decided to step on everything I enjoyed. If I learned piano, she had to learn piano. If I excelled at a subject, she would suddenly become an expert in it. If I told my mom I had a crush, Angela would be dating that boy in less than a week. Whenever I told my mother about this, I was ignored because sisters copy one another and I couldn't gatekeep what she likes. She always supervised my activities and clothes so she could outdo me. If I wore a flannel, Andrea would show up to school in an all-flannel dress. It was 2011, and that was peak trendsetters at our school, lol. Andrea always received more appreciation, even if I created the activity. My mom and dad would miss work to attend her dance classes, going to every single one, because the world would stop if they forgot it. However, I recall that perhaps 2 of my friends managed to attend despite being stuck at work or otherwise preoccupied. Andrea reveals this by muttering comments to her parents and telling me how much she hates me. And that I should give up because I would always fall short of her. She also physically bullied me at school, tripping me, throwing stuff at me, and hitting me in the hall almost every day. The school became involved several times, threatening Andrea with suspension, but my parents are fighting it each time. They repeatedly informed the administration that this was a family issue and that we were simply arguing like normal sisters. She was never disciplined by either my dad or mom. When once Andrea was caught impaling a cat on the school fence, my parents defended her, saying it was normal teenage behavior. I frequently got in trouble because Andrea would start crying and claim she was being targeted by the school after I had attacked her. After one of these incidents, Andrea cut and bruised herself to show dad that I was the aggressor. Andrea would spreading rumors about me turned me into a reject, making it difficult for me to make new friends. I resorted to making friends from different districts. Andrea eventually guaranteed that I had no one by stalking, befriending, and lying to all of my friends about how I was favored by our parents while constantly bullying and belittling her. She even took boyfriends of mine by convincing them I was terrible, mean, and an evil person who copied her every move. She catfished me on MySpace for 4 months, tricking me into sending her nude pictures, which she then sent to my parents and everyone in school, including teachers. Later, she told one of the boys I liked that these were her photos and that I had catfished her. My mother sat me down on the day of my high school graduation and informed me that Andrea had revealed the horrendous abuse she had suffered at my hands and that I was no longer welcome in their houses. After I moved out the next morning, my parents made few attempts to speak to me, only sending me holiday and birthday texts. All financial aid was also abruptly stopped as soon as I stepped onto the campus. I met my now husband shortly afterward, and we married within a year. They did not want to attend my wedding or even say congratulations to me. I told my parents when I had my first child 7 years ago as an opening, but they have made no attempt to contact or meet any of my 3 kids. According to what I've heard, Andrea married one of the boyfriends she stole from me in high school. She has been posting about her infertility problem and how she is unable to give my parents their first grandchild. After years of silence, I got a text from my mother at 7 a.m., which I will rewrite below. Hey, I'm your mother. We haven't spoken in a while, and I miss you so much. I wanted to let you know that your sister had a miscarriage earlier this week. Andrea and Justin are currently having huge problems. Send her something nice, I'm sure she'd appreciate it. Get back to me. Love you. I hate to admit it, but I'm glad she's suffering. I'm glad she doesn't get to become a mother. If she abused me for years, what would she do to a child? Especially a girl? I don't want any baby to die, but I know she'd hurt that child. I'm mad at my family member for expecting me to feel any kind of obligation toward her. I have no sense of obligation to them. They consistently believed her and ignored me. I was always the bad kid, and it's strange that my mom can be so nice to me when she asks me to do something for her daughter. They also care about my sister now. Dead fetus instead of my actual children. They are wondering why they only have one set of grandparents. I feel guilty about it, but I refuse to offer any sympathy to my destructive, narcissistic sister, whose terrible behavior has been justified since birth. Maybe this will change her and help her develop empathy, or any emotion other than hatred or revenge. If that happens, I'll be happy to help, but for the time being, I'm just happy she's hurt. Am I terrible for this? Update. Hello, I am back with an update. I wanted to say thanks to everyone who has left comments by sending me a DM. I chose not to respond to my mom. I blocked both of my parents, and I thought it would end there, but when does it ever end? On Wednesday night, my messenger inbox was flooded with texts from my parents' siblings. The majority of the messages told me that I needed to answer my mom's calls and that I was being cold-hearted. I blocked all of them as well. My cousin heard this from her brother, who is constantly around my parents and Andrea during family dinners. My mom and her siblings all live within a few blocks of one another and eat together most nights. I'm not sure if I can post the screenshot, so I'll type the messages. Aunt Helen and my mother, I hope this makes sense. Andrea kept calling me an abusive ingrate because she refused to talk to Aunt Helen. Aunt Helen suggested that they start inviting me to family gatherings so that she will think about becoming a surrogate. Things got weird quickly when Andrea mentioned that she wants to use my husband's sperm so that her child is tall and blue-eyed. Helen then said that they only needed to be around her for about a year before cutting her off again. Andrea insisted that this was the only way she could have a baby because reading those messages made me want to vomit. Do they believe my uterus is a fish hatchery that can be purchased with kind words and a casserole? It's good to know Andrea is too much of a narcissistic but to adopt, though. I'm totally done with every one of them. If they try to approach me, I will get a restraining order before they even reach my door. Between the weak conspiracy they've devised to use me as a baby bargain bin and the hurtful words they continue to say about me, I will no longer claim to have a family other than the one I've created. I apologize if this is difficult to read, but reading it again has gotten me very worked up. But you did finally get the update you asked for, so that's the silver lining, I guess. Anyway, thank you all again.